Dr. Lawrence Schovanec, the president of Texas Tech University. Good morning, Dr. Schovanec.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Matt.
Morning.
It's been a while.
Always so glad to have you here. Gosh, we have a long list of things to talk about, and I know we want to get right to it because we've only got a couple of segments here. But we have a new hire at Texas Tech.
Right, that announcement came out about a week ago or so that the governor has a program called the Governor's University Research Initiative, and Governor Abbott put that program in place, basically replacing the Emerging Technology Fund. And his goal was to bring in National Academy members or Nobel laureates. You have to apply for that money. We received about $5 million earlier this spring, and we had been in the process of recruiting a National Academy member for several months. And I think what's so good about this is it's a person who's doing research that really matters to Lubbock and West Texas in this state. And that's the kind of work we want to be doing. And it's a very, very big deal for Tech. This guy...
well, it's a big deal for the South Plains.
It is.
You're sitting right here in the middle of the biggest cotton patch in the world.
When we were recruiting him, we were aware that Harvard had offered him a position, and we actually verified that. And I even asked him, why would you say no to Harvard but want to come to Lubbock? And it's because of the cotton industry.
They don't grow cotton at Harvard.
Bear crop science, and actually Dave Gilbert, who's vice president for R&D with Monsanto, Bear Crop, was very helpful in the application and in helping us recruit this person.
So is Bear getting rid of, I guess, the Monsanto name going to hurt anything at all as far as Texas Tech's concerned?
Well, when they acquired Monsanto, they were required to divest themselves of their activity in cotton, and BASF is going to be now taking over that role. We'll continue to work with Bayer. You know, they have a large investment at Texas Tech, and they've been wonderful partners for many years. Yeah.
So tell us what this hire actually is going to mean to Texas Tech and the people here of the South Plains.
Well, he's going to bring a group of 5 or 6 faculty. Graduate students will come. A new greenhouse is going to be constructed that relates to the type of research and certain facilities there. Besides doing basic research, he has strong connections to industry in terms of new strains.
So he has a status that is well known throughout the industry.
Right. Very strong connections to industry. Scientific American released a list of the 100 most influential scientists in biotechnology.
Wow.
And he was one of them. But you know what's interesting about this is this was a great deal. Very grateful to the governor for his vision and his support. And I retweeted something that Texas Tech had put out when he was hired and this announcement was made. And I was speaking to a group in athletics last week, and before I went down there, I looked at how many likes there were of this tweet, 73. And I looked at my previous tweet. It was about baseball winning the regional championship. There were 2,800. And that's sort of interesting. I was telling that to Coach Tadlock last night. What really gets people excited? A National Academy hire or baseball, I think we know. Yeah. But I will say this. 2 people in the stadium mentioned, hey, that was a good deal to bring that guy in. I thought, well, 2 out of 4,800, that's a start.
Well, sports always seems to supersede academia, as you know. Right. I remember talking about that back even when I was in high school. But it sounds to me like, what a hire, what a deal. This could be huge. I was looking at I grew up in a farm family, raising cotton over in New Mexico, but still, the progress that they've made on the bales per acre is incredible from when I was a young man on the farm and what they're doing now. And this is all through crop research.
That's right. And that's especially, it's not just cotton, but he looks at stress on plants, drought,
right,
the kind of water you use, brackish water, lack of rainfall, and so it's perfect for this area. He also does work that relates to grapes.
Yeah,
and so
fantastic.
Yeah, so it's a very good fit for this area. when I issued that tweet, I saw where Ryan Hyatt said, well, great, now let him bring some rain. And I actually replied, that's probably not in his best interest because this guy does research on stress environments. So he probably likes it dry.
Yeah, but we'll take the rain any way we can get it. Well, what a wonderful hire and what a wonderful feather in the cap for Texas Tech. Of course, I'll tell you what's on a lot of people's mind as we were talking off mic, anytime that we had mentioned this Auditorium Coliseum vote that was just taken, and it did pass. Of course, you've got the Coliseum and Auditorium now,
yes.
Dr. Schovanec. What are you going to do with it?
Well, Monday, I went down to see the mayor and a few other people there, and he wanted to talk about the transition. So in the fall, we'll take possession of that, and along with that, the responsibility for paying for the utilities and maintenance. And they made that very clear. We have ABC Rodeo scheduled this year. I think Kirby Hocutt and Coach Beard want to have another throwback game. And then we'll start to make plans for its demolition.
When would that be, you think?
Well, as I said to the mayor, and I know it's a concern of his, that he wants to be very upfront in communicating with people who have an interest in the possible use of that. But I think there was a little bit of confusion about a headline in the paper a while back. It said it's going to be 2 to 3 issues before we demolish it. What I said was we have a commitment, certain commitments throughout this year. We're doing a study of the actual cost. It's probably going to be around $4 million. And then we have to decide what's going to go there. There have been some preliminary talks about an athletic facility, about a dorm that would have a large representation of athletes. The NCAA says you can only have 49%. So that's probably the highest likelihood of something happening on that site. And so I made the statement it's probably be 2 or 3 years before you're going to see a real difference in that location. And by that I really meant demolition or some new construction. Even that might be premature, but given the cost of maintaining that building, it's probably not going to stay there a long time. Yeah. I would hope that maybe within a year we'll start to see some demolition. Yeah. But we want to make sure we're talking to people who might be affected by this.
Right. Well, so what do you imagine is going to be the end result? A dorm?
So right now I think what you're going to see is the Drive of Champions, which is just south of there, will be moved north to allow for some renovation to the baseball field.
So is it just going to straighten it out?
Straighten it out.
Okay.
And then because they want to put a facility there on the left field side for baseball and actually do some more comprehensive refurbishment of the baseball facility. We could probably use one more dorm. And given all the athletic facilities in that area, that would really complement the dining facility, which is just going to be west of the Fraser Pavilion, the football training facility. So it would really fit nicely with athletic activities. And so I also think that if athletics has a presence in that dorm, Kirby's one of the most effective fundraisers we have. And people would be more likely to contribute to the construction of that facility.
So are y'all still potentially going to expand the baseball stadium?
Yes. Kirby has renderings of adding seats down the left and right field lines. Some, I guess you call that load seating. But they even have looked at some other possibilities. I mean, I don't want anybody to take this and run with it, but who knows? In the end, they might think, well, maybe the baseball field should be there. Mm-hmm. But that's not where the discussions have gone to this point.
Yeah. And I may have read this wrong, but I saw that there was a headline that said this game before last, it was the highest, most attended game at
right.
The law since it's been there. 4,400 people?
I think it was 48.
48?
Yeah. That was a long game for them to go to.
It seats less than 5,000. I'm surprised it's that small.
But compared to most college facilities, we probably have among the strongest attendance of any university.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back and talk in our last segment. 8:22 a.m. and we're back here at KFYO Mornings. Dave King, Matt Martin, right on your radio, and back talking to Dr. Lawrence Schovanec, president of Texas Tech University. Well, you meet with us monthly. What is it? The third Wednesday of each month. Except last month, you were off gallivanting around the world in Costa Rica, of all places. Tell us what you were doing.
So we had the inauguration of the campus there. The building is complete, and there's some, and they have prepared sort of just a general campus environment around that facility, and it's fabulous.
Many people want to ask, why Costa Rica?
Well, it's because there were a group of individuals there who were looking for a partner to start a university that had sort of a national stature. Public secondary education is free in Costa Rica. There's about 5 public institutions, and there are probably 15 to 20 privates. But these were a group of individuals with strong connections to industry who did not feel the needs of the workforce were being met by the graduates of the institutions. And there's kind of a lesson in that for all of us. And so they were talking to a number of schools. This started in the summer of 2014. And they came to Texas Tech, and they kind of fell in love with the place. And we went through a process competing against several other schools. The Board of Regents had to approve this. And so we are there because they really came to us. And, a lot of schools, some universities have invested in these international campuses, primarily in China. And this is kind of unique in that it's in the Western Hemisphere. And I think it makes sense for Texas Tech to be recruiting in our backyard.
Same time zone, probably.
And you can get there in 5 hours, and that's a great advantage as opposed to running a campus in the Middle East, where Qatar is, and A&M has a presence, or Duke has a campus in China.
Is it called Texas Tech?
It's called Texas Tech at Costa Rica.
Wow.
And
how big is it?
Well, right now it's one large facility with 6 or 7 floors, and it is state of the art. They built it. They paid for it. They're paying for all of the cost of our personnel there. It's a really incredible deal. 2 weeks ago, Inside Higher Ed organized a panel. They invited Columbia University, Georgetown, and Texas Tech, and the point of that panel was to discuss international collaborations. And Texas Tech was invited because of the unique nature of that relationship. So students will start enrolling in the fall. It's going to start small. Only 5 degrees will be offered. But I think when people become familiar with it, some may even choose to go there to get certain courses. I think people would be proud to see the Tech presence.
What courses will be offered?
So they're going to start with electrical, civil, mathematics, computer science, restaurant, and hotel and institutional management.
That's what they're needing down in Costa Rica.
That's what they need. The restaurant and tourist business is very big there, so the RIM program is very appropriate, and also they need engineering, the STEM areas.
So the populace there is pretty well educated?
Costa Rica has a long tradition of supporting education. When the new Constitution was developed, that president did away with the military. And they don't have a military.
Really?
And a lot of those resources are diverted to education. They spend around 20 to 25% of their gross domestic product on education. Their literacy rate is over 95%.
That's got to be as high as anywhere in the world.
It is. So it's the perfect place to do it, and the people are so warm and inviting. When we had this opening ceremony, they had just had a presidential election 2 or 3 days before, and the new vice president was there and spoke. The U.S. ambassador was there, several members of that cabinet. And I think that speaks to how supportive Tech's presence is there, which is really good.
Well, we talk about Texas Tech all the time. I've driven through the campus recently, and it's just astounding to me how much building is going on. And, it's just, are we going to have 40,000?
Well, not this year. We're hoping to grow between 1.5% to 2%. But when you speak, Dave, of what's there, Kirby was telling me that he had visited quite a bit with the Duke athletic director. And he said, I've never seen a more pristine campus.
Yeah.
And he was blown away by what we had. And that's really the issue. A lot of people don't know what we have on that campus, and they don't know what Lubbock
And
has.
they don't know what we have compared to other schools.
That's right.
Our basketball facility,
Right.
United Supermarket Spirit Arena,
Right.
Jones Stadium, the facility, the sports facility that's just been raised.
Yeah.
And on it goes.
So-
It's some of the best of any universities in the country.
So talking about new construction and the possibility of having a vet school in Amarillo, we're running low on time. So just to kind of bring up what the next step is as far as that's concerned.
So the board had required that we raise $90 million that would allow for the construction of the facility. Texas Tech had raised about 35 million. I mean, at this point, and that's a real credit to Chancellor Duncan and Institutional Advancement and the whole team of development. But the Amarillo Economic Development Corporation wanted to be sure that we met that $90 million goal. And so they made a commitment of up to $69 million to kind of backstop whatever we were short, with the understanding we had continued to raise money.
Okay.
So the money's in place to build it. Now we have to go to the legislator to get the special item funding.
Our time is up. It's been great. We could go on talking, couldn't we?
Well, I'm kind of windy, so
Because there's always plenty to talk about when it's in relation to Texas Tech. Go Red Raiders!
thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All
for
right,
coming.
that our time is about up. We are so thankful and so glad that you all joined us at the show this morning, and we hope you'll be back with us in the morning about 6:20. We're going to do it all over again. That puts a bow on the show for a Wednesday edition. Everyone, go out there and have a wonderful day.